Hello and welcome to my boss guide for the Qitana Ravel. This is the level 75 dungeon in Shadowbringers, unlocked via the progression of the main scenario storyline within the Raktika Greatwood zone. The first boss we get to see is Lazaro. This boss has a few minor things to be aware of mechanically. Stone Fist is your tank buster in this fight to look out for. Sun Toss is where the boss places a circle in a room to avoid where he throws a rock at. Lazaro's Scorn is your basic AoE damage ability to heal through. And you will notice at some point the flavor text saying a Ronkan statue begins emitting an eerie glow. There are two statues in this room for the observant of you, one to the left and right in front of you behind the boss. If the left one glows, then you will need to stand on the opposite side of the room and vice versa, as a beam will be shot across 50% of the room on that side. Heat Up is the pre-buff that Lazaro puts on himself before doing Lazaro's Fury, which again is where one side of the boss this time around glows and the other does not. Simply move to the side of the boss that is not glowing to avoid his ground pound. A simple rinse and repeat of these abilities and avoiding them, and this boss will be dead pretty quickly. The second boss encounter is against Batsquatch. This boss has a few basic abilities that you need to be aware of. Ripper Fang is your tank buster. Soundwave is your basic AoE damage attack to heal through. Subsonics is where the boss will repeatedly pulse with AoE damage to everyone in the room, and additionally shakes the cave we're located in, making circles appear on the ground to avoid from falling stalactites. Keep on the move then to avoid getting hit. You will notice that two of these stalactites after the main pulse has ended will remain. These are essentially towers that will fall in the arena when the boss next casts his Soundwave ability. They are quite easily avoided and give you plenty of time to adjust, but you don't really want to get hit by one of these. More spikes will drop to avoid as the boss repeats both Soundwave and Ripper Fang damage to your tank, and additional falling tower spikes to deal with later in the fight as well. It's basically more of the same intertwined. It's a very basic fight and nothing too much to worry about. So boss number 3 is Eros, the three-headed doggo. Rend is your tank targeted attack to deal with this time around. Hound Out of Heaven will put a tether onto a player. This player needs to drag their tether to the other side of the room as the boss will charge that player, and I believe it's based on how far away you are. Glossolala is the boss's large-scale AoE damage for your healer to heal through. And next up is Viper Poison. This places circles around the room in the first half of the fight that turn to poison pools to avoid. It's at this point that the boss will jump to one of the sides of the room and begins to cast Inhale, which will actually pull all of the players to him. And then he will cast Heaving Breath, which puts knockback arrows on the ground, and then you'll be knocked back. The idea then is to get knocked back into a safe area, so try to move to avoid as much poison as possible from that knockback and plan ahead. Confession of Faith will put a stack marker on a player. Simply bring this to the center of the room with your party to absorb its damage. And the fight continues in repetition now, with the only additional change being that Viper Poison phase will now have an additional marker, only this time a poison circle will be placed on a player's head, meaning that you have complete control of where that poison circle goes. Ideally then you'll want to put this circle somewhere that people won't aim for in the actual knockback, and that's pretty much it, just more repetition. It's quite a fun little fight and one that I would love to personally see, and indeed this whole dungeon I would like to see one day receive a hard mode. I feel it's certainly made for it. Either way, thank you kindly for watching, and I'll see you all next time.